friends, welcome to day 2 of HALLOWEEK. Today I'm going to make a HALLOWZine. I've made one zine before, and you can find it in my video section under Zine Baby Zine. If you want to get a step-by-step tutorial that's super easy to understand and follow, go check out Ali Brown's channel because she does a fabulous job of explaining that. I'll link it down below, so go check that out if you want a step-by-step. Today I'm going to use watercolor paper because I'm going to use some gorgeous Daniel Smith watercolors to put my background in. This is a Canson, really heavyweight watercolor paper. It's kind of hard to fold, but you manage. This is my holiday ephemera box, and I'm going to use my Whimsy Ween collage sheet today. This collage sheet is available on Etsy, and I'm just going to use some of the stuff from that until October 31st. Every purchase of that specific collage sheet does come with a bonus digital download of my first Inktober piece, Sisters of the Stars. So if you're looking to get your hands on that and maybe print out some postcards or have something to glue into your journal, that will be available until October 31st, and then after that it'll just be the regular collage sheet with no bonus download. So go check that out if you want. Here's my gorgeous background with some of that granulating watercolor. I like to put a background in because it gives me a good starting point. It kind of inspires what I want to put, what kind of ephemera I want to put on top. You saw that little box that I pulled it all out of. That's just got lots of collage sheet elements, some hand-drawn stuff, some hand-painted stuff, and around the holiday times, I will have a specific stash just of the specific holiday themed kind of stuff. And not all of it in there is Halloween themed, but it's stuff that I think would lend itself to the occasion. And so when I'm creating, I can kind of have my ephemera organized-ish. It's not specifically organized into categories, but I think this is all the stuff that when I'm making Halloween things, I could pull out and I could alter to fit the theme. So I do like to keep that in a separate place. I've still got my orange bag. It's still full, and I've got another box that's collecting more ephemera, but I do like to separate it and have just a smaller box with much more focused pieces beside my desk, just so that I can reach for that when I'm in a rush, or when I want something that I've already pre-selected. I don't need to go through the 4-hour process of destashing that orange bag again. And a lot of this stuff is newer stuff too, so I find that when I've created something newer, I'm more excited to play with that, and I don't want to go back to something that's a few years old. I just want to play with all the new stuff. I think we're like that with a lot of things. So a lot of the stuff that stays in this stash close to my desk is a lot of the newer stuff. So you'll see on there I've got some of the samples I made with my new stamp sets. I've got collage sheet elements. I've got the Tim Holtz ephemera pack for the Halloween, which I love. Steve picked that up for me at Michael's, so that was a total win for Steve. And yeah, I'm just really excited to play with all this stuff. A few tips and tricks if you're looking to make a zine and you feel like you see a lot going on here and can't make sense of it all. Collage is your best friend. I feel like starting the pages with collage is a way just to inspire whatever's going to happen next. And if you've got a lot of collage sheets that you haven't printed out, I encourage you to print those out. If you've got a lot of ephemera just laying around, pick out your favorite bits and have them on hand. And yeah, I would start with a background just because the color story kind of dictates what I want to put down on top. That watercolor I just put in there is designs by Rachel Beth. I think it's called Tropical Agave, and it's the most incredible watercolor I've ever put down. It's like blue, green, sparkle, shimmer, granulating. It's just amazing. I love it. I don't know if it's granulating because of the other watercolor, but it just looks fantastic in that little bit. But you'll see the close-ups in the end anyway, and you'll just see all that beautiful watercolor texture. I'm playing with a lot of collage. I think that's just what I love to do when I'm doing a zine, because they're small little pockets. They're like miniature journal pages. So anything that you would do on a large scale, you can do on a small scale too. And actually doing it with a smaller scale keeps it, it's easier to fill the page. You're not left with a lot of negative space. So you've got, really obvious pockets to journal in, and you don't have to fill the entire page with one paint color, or you don't have to waste your ink from your Copic marker going over, 4 inches squared of just blank space. It's a lot more of a condensed, compact journal page is the way I like to look at it. And you still get to do all the fun stuff like layering and collage and fussy cutting and watercoloring. It's still very mixed media, very hands-on. And the bonus is when you fold it up at the end, it's just like a little book. It's like a finished little mini journal. So I'm loving zines for that. And I wish I could make more, but to be honest, I kind of forget about that. I forget that I can because I'm usually working in a book or working on something completely unrelated. But yeah, so one of my other tips is if you're looking to integrate some collage sheets or collage elements more organically into your page, just rip them. rip them up. I feel like it just, it doesn't look so harsh when you're trying to fussy cut everything, and everything's got to be at perfect angles, and everything's got to be measured out precisely. I don't like to do any of that really overly planned kind of stuff. I like to be a bit more intuitive about when I'm creating. So I find that even just ripping up backgrounds or ripping out collage elements, I feel like that kind of helps when you're trying to integrate them into specifically a very busy spread. Stuff like this can start to look really unbalanced if you're thinking too much about the shapes that you're trying to cut, or how you're trying to incorporate everything, and everything's got to be, parallel to this, and 4 centimeters away from that. I just think keeping some of the ways that you integrate the things a bit more organic is more forgiving on your eye when you take it in. So, and I also like to work in layers. I love to start with the background because it dictates what I want to put on top. Then I love to start with the bigger and the more focal point collage elements. Then I love to add on the little bits, so like little washi tape strips. I love to add on little stickers, especially in a zine. I don't usually add stickers to my journals, but I'll put them on a zine. And then at the end is when I like to get out my pens and my markers and my, my Jelly Roll pens, and I love to add all the little details on the end, and just kind of add all the details, add all the lettering, add all the quotes, all the little bits and pieces. And if you're scared to add that part, because I think a lot of people get to this point and they think, oh, I like what I've done, but I don't want to ruin it with some journaling that just goes wrong, just go photocopy it. I make these zines on an 8.5 by 11, so a US letter size. You can make it on A4 if that's your thing. But if you've got a photocopier, just go and photocopy it and just test out where you want to put your journaling or what you might want to add. If you're nervous, you're going to wreck it. But for the most part, if you've got a lot of stuff going on like this, a few mistakes no one's really going to pick up on because there's just so much going on anyway. But just photocopy it if you're worried, test it out, and then when you're ready to commit, just commit. But if you're feeling like just committing from the get-go, a lot of stuff can be saved, and I just think it's fun. So yeah, I would take the tips that I would take is start with a background, work in layers, go from largest things to smallest things, add all your media on at the end, because that's the stuff that is fun to play with, and I feel like gets lost if you put that down first. Like a lot of your pen work, if you start covering it up, maybe you've wasted 40 minutes doing some really intricate Zen tangling that you're just going to put ephemera over anyway. So I would encourage you to do a lot of your pen work and a lot of fussier details at the end. And just go nuts. Add as much as you can. And don't be afraid to use some of your original pieces in there. Don't be afraid to cut them up. If you've done it once, you can do it again. So I wouldn't be afraid to use originals. But if you are, just photocopy them, and it's all good. It's all the same. So I'm going to show you the close-ups. I hope you enjoyed it, and I'll be back tomorrow for video 3.